Welcome back to Up North at 4, and joining us now, head coach of the Wisconsin Windigo. It's Blake Hietala. Blake, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. And of course, I know what you're going to say is, yeah, you wish you could have won the whole thing at the end of it all. But an incredible season, though, nonetheless. Just what are your general thoughts kind of looking back at year one in Eagle River for the team?
Yeah, I think you kind of said it. A little bit of a bitter ending for us. There's not a ton of years in this business where you feel like you have a group that can actually go do it and win the last game. And I think to a man, we kind of felt like we did have that group. So a little bit frustrating finish, but I think when we take a step back and look at the big picture, it was a pretty successful year one in Eagle River.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was a big year. Obviously, the team was sold and bought, moved to Eagle River. You made a name for yourself. You know, by all accounts, the coaching has been fantastic. The team has done really well. What happens now? Does the team disperse? Is it a group of new players that come in? Where do you start now?
Yeah, so guys left last week, so we lost that last game on Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, and guys were in town kind of through Wednesday. We did some exit interviews and could start our planning for next year. So guys are at home right now. We'll have, it looks like at least 12 guys back from this year's team, so we'll have a good core, and some key pieces will be back, which is nice, and then kind of just gearing up for next fall. We've got a couple camps here in the next couple weeks, and our draft is in the middle of June. So that's kind of our focus right now, is getting ready for the draft.
Got it.
Yeah, I've always been kind of curious then too, especially for this level of hockey, junior hockey. A lot of the guys are trying to advance their careers, you know, get a scholarship to go play college or, you know, go play hockey wherever. And obviously you are rooting for those guys, I would imagine, you know, to kind of take that step. But it's also a little probably heartbreaking to see those guys leave, right? What's that like for you to kind of balance those thoughts, those feelings?
It's definitely a balancing act. The level we're at, guys are getting pulled in different directions, whether it's going to play NCAA or going to the USHL, which is Tier 1 junior hockey in the States. It's kind of the best junior league in the world. So we've got guys getting pulled in different directions, and we're hoping to obviously have a nice mix of get guys back every year, but help guys advance their careers as well.
Yeah.
All right, you're in the dome. You feel the energy in there. You feel the fans respond to what you guys did this year. What's your reaction to all that?
It was awesome. It was a little slow early. I think people probably didn't know who we were and what we were. But as the season went, the support grew and grew. And then I think if you just looked at the crowds in the playoffs, it was awesome. The energy in there was unbelievable. I actually talked to a college coach from a pretty big time university that was at one of our games in that second round, and he had never been there before, and he's like, that's a pretty cool atmosphere you guys got. And I'm like, yep. All right. So our guys loved it. Like I said, it grew as the season went. By the end of the year, it was rocking in there, and hopefully we can build on that and come into next year with some good numbers in there.
Yeah, there was a buzz in the air. I remember covering it as part of our sports programs here. We have winning and winning and winning, and the crowds were getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And you were there a couple of times.
I was there a few times.
And you couldn't find a seat. It was just one of those,
Like there's times I think I went to a game with my family early in the season and got a seat right away. Yeah. And then as the season kind of went along, went up there for a few games, and next thing I know, I'm like, is there a spot even available? Am I going to be standing for these whole 2 hours? It was awesome, and I think the community really embraced what you guys are all about. So did you guys notice that? Did you guys feel that in the locker room?
100%. Yeah, like you said early, there was some light crowds on some nights, but I think once people came and saw how good the hockey was, and then our guys did an unreal job in the community this year. We were at youth practices every week. We got into basically every elementary school within 30 miles, and we were reading to kids and doing gym class and stuff. So that side of it obviously helped. And then, like you guys said, just as the year went on, people got excited about it and kept showing up, and those playoff crowds were awesome. Yeah, you could definitely feel the energy in there.
And Blake, there's a tape of Nate and I, joining your team for a day and putting us through a workout. You said the draft is coming up. Do we have a chance?
I'll have to check with the league on your eligibility.
That's fair. That's fair enough.
Okay,
that was a good non-answer. I know what you're doing there, Blake. All right, I did want to talk. You brought up the draft. I kind of ask you a little bit about the off season, what that's going to look like, and then hopefully as you guys get ready for the next edition of the Wisconsin Windigo. Yep. We're going to take a break, though, first, so stick with us on Up North at 4. Welcome back to Up North at 4. Joining us, Wisconsin Windigo head coach Blake Hietala, wrapping up year one in Eagle River, which, I mean, I feel like it was last month when we were out there at practice.
You were just here like several months. It just seems so fast.
It went with a blink of an eye. And Blake, you were just telling us the season is over, but there is no break. There's not a ton of downtime for you. What's on the docket for you in the very near future here?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, the planning for year two obviously has already started, and kind of been doing it all year, but kind of really get into it now. So this coming weekend, we've got a pre-draft camp in Hudson, Wisconsin. Following weekend, we've got another one in just outside of Chicago, and then our draft will be June 14th. So that's kind of our focus right now, is making sure that we're ready for the draft and try to fill some holes in that roster for next year.
I'm curious then too, like I'm wondering what your philosophy is as a coach, because I've heard it both ways, where you can see a guy who, maybe isn't I don't want to say he's not a good player, but he's maybe not the best polished player, but he fits really well in your system, versus another guy who, well, he doesn't really fill a need that we have, but he's really good. How do you kind of like pick between guys like that? Is there a philosophy?
It's definitely a mix, I think. Obviously, we've got needs that we want to make sure we fill, but at the same time, if somebody comes along that's going to be a real difference maker, it's tough to pass a guy like that up. So it's definitely a mix, and trying to make sure that you've got some balance throughout your lineup, and holes are filled, and then from there kind of go out and see if you can find real difference makers.
I do want to touch on your off-ice activities, though. Like, you say how busy you are, the coaches are, the players are. All year long, though, your players were out interacting with the community. I know lots of youth, boys and girls interested in hockey have been looking up to your team. Does your team feel that? And what's it like for them to kind of reach out to the community like that?
Yeah, no, it's, I think anywhere you go, it's a big part of junior hockey. Obviously, you've got to have community support to have success. So our guys did a great job with it. I think at the age that they're at, it's kind of a mixed bag of what you get. Some kids when they're 18 don't want to go hang out with an 8-year-old and be a role model, but our group was awesome with it this year and really bought into the fact that, if we make a difference in the community, the support is going to pay us back, and they did a great job with it.
Did you watch them grow up quickly over the last 6 months?
Yes, and that's always one of the cooler parts at this age group, is seeing a kid grow from a boy to a man, or just mature a little bit as a human. And a lot of them, it's their first time away from home, so that's an adjustment as well. But yeah, it's definitely, you see a lot of growth over 6-8 months with a 17 to 19-year-old kid.
What I didn't realize either until going to a couple of games, at least at the junior hockey level, like you get guys obviously from, all across Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, across the U.S., but there's guys coming from outside the United States, right? And you're like, they're 18, 19 years old. That's a huge jump to make at that point in time. So like, I would imagine then that the team kind of becomes their family in a sense, right? I guess, what is that kind of like for you, as kind of be the dad, right, of all these kids?
It's it's definitely one of the hats that I wear is to be I wouldn't call myself a father figure, but they are away from their families, and they need some guidance off the ice as well. Our group was really close this year. I think Eagle River helped that, because it's a small town and there's not a ton to do other than hang out with each other. So we had a really tight-knit group, and just my experience as a player, a lot of times those group ends up, they'd be your best friends for a long time, or kind of like a family when you're here.
It's hockey. It's a very close-knit community, right? So, all right. So lots of behind-the-scenes things happen in the next few months or so. When do we see you back public-facing again?
We'll be, it looks like right now, our team will report for training camp late August. So
so fast.
Yeah, it happens quick. So I would guess we'll probably have a preseason game or two sometime early September. That'll kind of be the first time that public will see us again.
Perfect. So what I'm hearing is I got to start working on my skating skills between now and August.
Yep. We got our main tryout camp early August.
I'll be ready.
So if you can get yourself ready by then.
All right. We come back and try it again.
We might have to. Well, Blake, congratulations on year one at Eagle River. Very well done. And here's hoping to the best, as the future kind of takes hold here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you guys do.
Thank you guys for the support all year.
Absolutely. In the meantime, though, we're going to take a break. We'll be back on Up North at 4.